Still not live yet. Hi, everyone. My name is Matt Hames, and I'm the Associate Vice President for Digital and Social Strategy at 3Enrollment Marketing. I'm here today joined by my colleague, Erin. Erin, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, Matt. Thanks so much for having me. My name is Erin Craig, and I too serve as the Associate Vice President for SaaS Solutions and Account Manager here, our account executive at 3Enrollment.
So, Erin, today we're here to talk about 3E ForwardIQ Forecast. It is a platform that people can use as a tool for understanding their run rate. So before we get into what it actually does, can you help me define what is a run rate?
Matt, that's a great question. As a former, finance major, I actually went back to my old textbook and I was kind of looking back to see how this was described to me back in my Finance 301 course. And it was really that explanation of that extrapolation of often results, typically real time, right, to predict future behaviors or for future, typically financial data. And why this was a pertinent conversation, I think, for Forward IQ and specifically for 3E to solve for is that we know many Fortune 500s have been using run rate scenarios, run rate planning to predict future revenue earnings. And regrettably, that was just not a space that most in higher education were using as it pertained to financial planning.
Well, that's super helpful. Thank you. I'm an English major, so they didn't cover run rates in Shakespeare plays. So this kind of goes a little bit over my head. So I'm going to ask another question of you. Why does higher ed need something like the Forward IQ Forecast platform for determining the run rate?
So this is such a timely conversation. I mean, look at the headlines. Obviously, we're regularly seeing them through the Chronicle, Inside Higher Ed Dive, even yesterday, earmarking the complexity of what we're up against as an industry. So I think Forward IQ is a way to help solve for that, right? To be more strategic, both as an enrollment manager, but also as a senior leader that we know financial viability is becoming such an important part of our jobs, right? So having a tool that allows you to be strategic and have a forward-looking lens, because for far too often, regrettably, how we've been utilizing our enrollment planning has been very historically based.
Right.
And the nuances of today's market just doesn't allow for that.
Right. So colleges would just use their historical going rates to determine their future going rates and say, well, this is what we had, this is what we're having. So talk a little bit about how this platform allows people to get out of using their historical rates and use more data that can help them get a real solid 5 to 7 year forecast of their enrollment.
Yeah, so as I alluded to, the essence and the beauty of this platform is to afford enrollment managers to be better partners with key senior leaders, whether that's their chief academic officer, their CFO, their president, and most importantly, their board. So what it does is it takes into the complexity of what we know is that real-time behavior, right? That's complicating our historical data.
Yeah.
We know the complexity of our shifting demographics. We know that the challenges with the college going rate. Students are questioning our value proposition. Ultimately, the marketplace is telling us they want a better and different product. So this allows us these different what-if scenario planning to allow for that type of, again, forward-looking market conditions that are so different than our historical behaviors. And this year is probably one of the better years to talk about. We've had a lot of marketplace complications that have hindered enrollment, specifically that of the FAFSA simplification. That's created a lot of anomalies in our behavior, and historical planning simply doesn't allow for that.
Right. So as you alluded to, the board generally understands what a run rate is. Higher education generally doesn't have a solution like 3E ForwardIQ Forecast, the platform that allows you to kind of look at 5 to 7 years and do projections based on how much data. Like, what are we talking about here? We're talking a little bit about historical data, but what other data is inside of there in the platform?
Yeah, I mean, probably most important is that of net tuition revenue, right? We know that's king. That's
Yeah,
how ultimately budgets are being set. Revenue is driven, and headcount is an important piece of that, obviously, component. But understanding the complexity of your net tuition revenue is ultimately what is happening. Is that enrollment managers are being asked to make these unrealistic and overtly optimistic enrollment projections,
right.
and by doing that, what we're seeing are these significant budget shortfallings when enrollment doesn't say go as planned. So this allows you that real time opportunity to go in and assess and ultimately diagnose and tweak strategy. The scenario that I was using with one of my mentors a few years ago was that of thinking about your job as being almost an acrobat. You're suspended above the air on this
Right, yeah.
tightrope, and one misstep and months of strategy can just be thrown out the window. This type of projecting and what if scenario planning allows you to have a misstep, say, but with a safety net, so that you're no longer going into your board and saying, I wish I had a crystal ball. You actually do have that now with this.
Right. And this year being such an interesting year with the way that the FAFSA went, this year could be an anomaly year that is going to impact future projections. So the data inside of this platform will account for this year, but it'll also account for migration rates and going rates, by even as far down by state, national going rates, and even by county, right?
Yeah, we're really excited about the addition of our county data because we
Yeah,
understand that many of the clients that we help advise and plan for that, are recruiting and looking at how they do territory management, both at a national, state, and county level.
right, right.
My past experiences, recognizing again with the complexity of what we're up against with the market and shifting demographics, that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. This platform allows you to go in with data-driven insights and make very strong enrollment strategic decision making, and sharing that with senior leaders who are going to ultimately be assisting with making those important decisions.
All right, so I'm convinced. What do I do next, Aaron? What do you recommend? I mean, we'll put a link in the comments below, but if a VP of enrollment is looking at this, can they see a demo? What can we offer?
Well, obviously, we have some great already very viewable webinars that you can look at that have some really specific use cases that I think also give further cause for the case of why this is important. We welcome opportunities for demo. Myself or my colleague, we are geared up to do that currently. And really, again, the opportunities are quite endless. The platform continues to evolve. As I
Yeah,
said, we're making modifications in ForwardIQ, different what if scenario simulation opportunities, but also too, we have, some great academic components that I think allow for, again, that important conversation about how do you develop new markets.
right.
So Matt, the demos would be the appropriate next step, but obviously we welcome any type of opportunity to connect with a key partner.
And we'll put a link in comments to an RFI to ask for a demo. We'll also make sure that your LinkedIn profile and Graham's LinkedIn profile are in the comments as well. So this is an opportunity to speak CFO and to walk into the board and say, we have a run rate, because they know what it is. So if you walk into your board meeting with a 5 to 7 year projection with some scenario planning in it, you will no longer be trying to answer the question, what does enrollment look like next year? Instead, you'll be answering the question, what do we have to do to keep enrollment at what we're looking at next year? Or what do we have to do to improve it? So this is a great opportunity to look into the future, use this platform to look into the future and do real planning at your institution and really truly answer the question, what does enrollment look like next year?
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, Erin. I appreciate it. Appreciate you joining me today. I learn a lot every time I talk to you, so it's awesome. I urge people to take an opportunity to reach out to Erin and ask any other questions that this English major forgot to ask.
Thanks again, Matt.
Thank
Absolutely.
you, and have a great day, everyone, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.